Well, it's the latest volley in a battle between the US and China's AI champions. Alibaba has just banned one of the most popular coding tools in the world from its offices. Well, Fast Info's Peter O'Brien joins me now to explain. Peter, so talk us through what's happened.
Alibaba has told its staff, you're not using Claude Code anymore from the 10th of July. It's one of the most popular AI coding assistants in the world, including in China. And according to Chinese outlets, the ban actually goes even further. Employees are not allowed to use any of Anthropic's technology. They can only use Alibaba's own tool, which is Coda. That's what they've been told to switch to. But either way, it's just the latest twist in a fight that's been bubbling and escalating over the last few weeks between the two tech giants.
So just remind us, why are they at each other's throats?
Yeah, so Anthropic accuses Alibaba of basically ripping it off, copying its homework, if you like. A couple of weeks ago, they sent a letter to two US senators describing what they called as the biggest distillation attack against Claude they'd ever seen. So what's distillation? Basically, it's when you get a powerful, big model which is very capable, maybe belonging to another AI company entirely, and you bombard it with loads and loads and loads of questions, and you get the answers to those questions, and you feed those answers to the AI model that you're developing. It's a way to cut back on costs, but to still produce a very high-performing model without having to do all of the complex training. It's a way of cutting corners, basically. So Anthropic says Alibaba has been doing this, and that while that's legal and perfectly acceptable within your own company to do this, Anthropic's not happy with a competitor doing it to their stuff. And they said the latest campaign of distillation was over the course of about 6 weeks, involved 25,000 fake accounts, and also involved nearly 29 million individual chats with Claude. So that's the scale of this kind of campaign.
But the counter-argument is that Anthropic trained Claude on everyone else's work in the first place.
Yes, that's true. It's hard to argue with that as a fact. They did train Claude on basically all of the internet, as well as loads and loads and loads of books. I mean, lots of these books were even pirated, and Anthropic had to pay out $1.5 billion in a lawsuit, which said, the eventual ruling, which was an important one for AI, said that training is fair use on pirated stuff, but pirating the stuff itself is not. You can't just download pirated books. That's why Anthropic, with this Alibaba case, they're not really stating the copying thing as the sin in of itself. They're saying it's against our terms of service. You can't do this to a competitor, but they're also escalating it to a national security argument. They're telling these US senators, this is dangerous because they're copying our model. They're stripping out all its safeguards, and they are basically creating something which has no guardrails on it that you could, for instance, use to make a weapon. So, without getting into the whole debate on whether open source or closed source models are safer, this is quite conveniently for Anthropic, escalating it from just a commercial dispute to a US national security issue.
So just going back to this ban on Claude then, how have Alibaba justified that?
Yeah, so a developer on Reddit found that recent versions of Claude Code had a very clever little trick in it, which allowed Anthropic to see where users might be connecting from. So take a look at what's on the screen here. These are 4 sentences that appear in the code, which is known as system prompt, which is sent to Claude when you use it. This triggers this kind of code. Spot the difference in these 4 things. Can you see anything about them that looks different from one line?
The only difference I see is the apostrophe in the third line.
Yeah, so that's right. So the apostrophe is one difference. There's actually 3 different kinds of apostrophe there. And there's also the difference in the slash or the dash between the date lines. And these were basically linked to your time zone. So if you had a Chinese time zone, or if you had a Chinese domain, or had a domain that indicated that you worked at a Chinese AI company. Now, when the Redditor found this, he said that this was spyware. That's putting it a bit strong. It's pretty normal to have these kind of location trackers, especially for a company that is trying to crack down on use of Claude in China. But this is the narrative that Alibaba seized upon to then ban Claude with its employees. It doesn't want this kind of sneaky thing to determine where its users are happening under their noses.
But so then does blocking Claude mean Alibaba can't copy them anymore?
No, so these are slightly different things. The distillation campaign is using thousands and thousands of proxies, and it's using lots of fake accounts, and it's a weeks-long campaign to do this, which is very different to the kind of individual use of AI among its employees. But I think we can read this all as just part of the spat between them, part of the US-China AI argument, and although we can still expect that distillation will happen, we can still expect that even employees of places like Alibaba will probably use VPNs and things to get on this software. It's just another example of the kind of tactics these companies are going for when they're trying to inch ahead of each other in the AI race, Jenny.
All right, very interesting stuff. Peter, thank you. That's Peter O'Brien for Tech24. Stay with us, more news to come after a short break.